To be a proficient student of Japanese, the student must understand its grammar, and each new grammatical concept must be applied to 4 skills, which are speaking, listening, reading, and writing. This video presentation is designed to give a few helpful suggestions for learning each skill. To be proficient in speaking, you must use your voice when practicing new words, expressions, and sentences. You must do this from the very first day of your Japanese class. It does not matter where you practice them, but you must use your voice at all times. Merely reading about what you have to learn in the grammar textbook will not help you learn speaking. When you practice, do it just for a short period of time, but repeat the practice a few times intermittently each day. It has been shown in research that practicing speaking for a long stretch of time is not effective and efficient. Practicing for a shorter time and repeating the same practice a few times intermittently facilitates better learning. For practice speaking, use the time when you are not doing anything particular, like walking or showering. Again, use your voice each time you practice speaking. Listening to your instructor or peers in the classroom does not give you sufficient practice for listening to Japanese. The course website lists a sizable number of learning materials. I recommend you use any materials with sound files for your listening practice. Do listen to them often. Listening to the old and new materials gives you equally good practice for listening. You can enjoy watching Japanese dramas, animes, or movies that are available for free on the internet. You probably will not understand everything in these resources, but it is good to get used to not comprehending everything that is spoken. Even if you understand very little, it still gives you the right kind of practice for listening, because getting used to hearing Japanese sounds is itself a good practice. In earlier stages of your learning to read kana and kanji, it helps to read them aloud. It also helps you learn better when you do not practice them in the same order each time. You can practice reading characters by mixing the order of characters, or even by reading backwards, from the last character to the first one, for example. Just like speaking practice, it is more effective to practice reading for a short time and then repeat it in a few times intermittently each day. Spoken and written languages are quite different. Spoken sentences can be very short, while written ones are often longer. Spoken sentences can be incomplete, but written sentences are more complete. To practice reading a short passage, which may consist of several sentences, it is important that you know all the words that are used in each sentence of the passage. Use dictionaries when you came upon any words you do not know. After you know all the words in a sentence, be sure to understand the meaning of the entire sentence. Go through this process for each sentence in the passage. It is important for you to be able to identify the topic and the predicate of each sentence. But be aware that there are quite often a few deleted elements in Japanese sentences. This may imply that even the topic or the predicate of a sentence may be omitted. To comprehend the meaning of each sentence, reading aloud may or may not be helpful. If you are having a hard time identifying the sounds of characters, you may be focusing on the sounds and not the meaning. After you comprehend all the sentences, read the entire passage again and identify the main points of the passage. Longer texts, such as newspaper or magazine articles, short or long novels, and essays may be read in different ways. Examples of different ways of reading are skimming, detailed reading, and speed reading, among others. Depending on the purpose of reading, your instructor may guide you in what ways she or he wants you to read. For instance, skimming implies that you do not have to understand every sentence in detail. Trying to extract only a few main points of a long essay, for example, can also be a good practice for skimming. Depending on the individual student, reading longer text aloud may or may not help your comprehension. If the vocabulary in the text is easy for the reader, then reading it aloud will not have a negative effect. But if the text contains many difficult words and or kanji, then it may even interfere with comprehension if you try to read each sentence aloud. Writing refers to many different things. Here, we will discuss how to learn the writing of kana and kanji in the very beginning of Japanese class. When you learn to write each new kana or kanji, you will need to write it out on paper many, many times. Looking at it will not facilitate your writing skill at all. Japanese children are made to learn the kana and kanji this way. The purpose of this is to have your muscles memorize the movements of writing each letter or character. I do not advise you to spend many minutes writing the same letter, however. It is best to write them a few times, do something else, and come back to writing them. Repeat this many times each day. Like any language, Japanese has conventional spellings. In the elementary Japanese class, you will be asked to learn to read and write vocabulary items in hiragana. Quite a few students rely on the pronunciation of a word to spell it, and they often make errors writing words. Do not rely on the pronunciation of the word to write it. Common errors are short versus long vowels. Learn how to spell each word correctly and write it many times correctly. Writing words in hiragana correctly is very important when you start using computers to write Japanese. In computers, hiragana is converted into kanji, but if you misspell the hiragana of a word, the correct kanji will not show up. Writing implies many different things. Here are some examples of different genres of writing: letter, journal, text message, essay, academia article, newspaper article, short story, poem, and many others. Each genre has a different writing style, and it is beyond our scope here to discuss each genre. When we consider all these genres, writing is the most difficult skill to acquire. Please know that being able to read something does not imply being able to write in the same sort of genre. In our native language, we can read long novels, but not many can write a novel. This concludes this video presentation.